Hi, and welcome to In Focus, where we get to meet men and women who have different expertise in their areas of calling. And today we are so blessed to have a wonderful guest on the show. Beautiful, I must say, very lively, and she's gonna introduce herself. And so, welcome to the show. My namesake, allow me to call you my namesake because that's who you are. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
So, please tell us about yourself as you introduce yourself.
All right.
Yes.
My name is Anna. Anna is a leadership coach and consultant and author. Anna is a mother. I wear many hats. Anna is a sister, auntie, all of those things. But beyond that, on a professional way, I am a thought leader. I am passionate about self-leadership and supporting women in their leadership journeys. And that originated from my own journey as a woman in leadership, experiencing the challenges that were there, and purposing that when my time was done, then it would be only prudent for me to support other women in their leadership journeys. So on a week-by-week basis, that is what I do,
All right.
working with women in their leadership journeys.
All right. Oh, great. And talking about women, I mean, women have such a great role to play in the society, even though probably because of the African culture within which we are based, for a long time, women were never given their space. But today, I think the story has changed. So I'd like to ask you, why particularly women?
Because I'm a woman.
Oh, my. Interesting, obviously, because you're a woman.
Definitely, because I feel I can identify with a lot of how they think, how they feel, just because I am one. It doesn't mean that the lessons I share or the leadership insight I give is not applicable to men.
Yes.
It is just that when I have an opportunity to do one-on-one, then I feel I can understand even the unspoken for a woman.
Right.
Because I am one and I have walked through that journey.
All right.
Yes.
Great. So this is the beginning of the year. And every time the year begins, people have this thing of, oh, what are your New Year resolutions? What are you planning for this year? But I sat down and I thought, actually, technically speaking, the New Year is always one day away from the old year. You know where I'm going with this. Eh? Actually, hours, almost like seconds away from the previous year. So do you think it's cliche or really it's important for people to sit down and ask, what is it for me in the next 365 days?
I think the beauty and maybe the uniqueness of the new year is just that new. When you have a new dress, a new shoe, a new hairstyle, there's a spring on your step,
right?
Even though it is only new for one day, because after it is worn one day, it will be washed. And so new brings hope, new brings freshness, new brings possibility, new brings chances and choices that you have an opportunity to have a different chance to all of this. So I am all for new.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily have to begin January 1st.
Yeah.
But because it is how our calendar goes, I would say new is an opportunity for every day.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's just that January 1st and the beginning of 365 is an opportunity for somebody to focus afresh.
Okay.
Is an opportunity to just take a long-range view for what do I want to accomplish with this block of time.
Okay. So it's important to set goals and resolutions with the new.
I believe so. I think let me even use our schooling system anywhere in the world. At the beginning of any academic year, you will be told the new things you will learn.
That's true.
You didn't know those things before.
Exactly.
You may have seen a glimpse of a little here, but when you have reached that age and that level, they tell you these are the things to look forward to learning. So in that sense, new year goals, resolutions, I think are part of how we do life every day. We may not call them so, but they already exist in different ways, including in our education system.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's important, definitely.
Oh, yes.
And I think also another thing which has just come to my mind is that new has a sense of satisfaction depending on what you did in the previous year.
Yes.
Like if you set goals and you achieve them.
Of course, you are motivated to achieve. But also on the flip side, if you set goals and didn't achieve them, you don't throw out the baby and the bathwater, so to speak. It's an opportunity to say, things didn't work out as I had planned, and therefore
Yeah.
I adjusted. So even as you look into the new year, it is with lenses for it is possible I might put a plan, but it might not work. But it is better to have a plan than not to have a plan
no
at all.
plan at all.
Yes.
Interesting. Just before we started the show, I was asking our camera person, would you get a life coach for your daughter? Then he was like, if I see the need. So many people have never understood, before we talk about strategy and planning, they've never understood the place of life coaches. They just think life just happens. Why do I need a coach? Maybe you need to tell us, why is it important?
Very good
Or is it
question.
necessary?
I think we have them right from when we are young. It is just that we may not call them so.
Yeah.
Let me pick an example of a parent-child relationship.
Correct.
As a parent, you might not know that you're already coaching and mentoring your child. You call it parenting. But as you're having those conversations, as you are discovering their likes, their dislikes, as you're discussing their challenges and their successes, all that is mentoring and coaching happening. Only we call it parenting. When we take it to the workplace, we'll call it my supervisor. But what does your supervisor do? They have a role to mentor you, equip you, and provide for you an environment to thrive in the job that they have hired you for. We just don't call them a coach or a mentor. So, but I think as you grow in career, then the need starts to be more acute. You start to realize, I need more than a parent.
Yes.
I need more than a supervisor. Why? Because I feel I need more growth in specific and certain areas. So by the time you're reaching out to look for a coach, it is because you have identified there's somewhere where my strengths and my abilities are not reaching.
Right.
I need somebody who will work with me. Somebody who will, challenge me. Somebody who will bring me out of my comfort zone so that I can be the best that I could ever be. When you look at, I think one of the easiest examples of coaches is in the sporting arena. If Eliud Kipchoge was by himself, do you think he would say, I can do a sub-2?
Not really. Come to think of it.
Do you think he would say, I can run by myself, I can win any marathon I want? Why does he, yet he's so good, why does he still go and get a coach to work with him, even after he has won the first and the second and the third gold medal? It is because there's somebody who is able to train and equip him and let him know that you have not reached there. You can push it further.
Right.
I can pace you better. You can eat better. You can sleep better. We can push you further. You can achieve much more than you think you can achieve. So if all our wonderful celebrated athletes of Kenya have coaches, and that is why they have that performance, how much more me and you?
Whoa. And again, think of it this way, because as you talk, you're actually making me remember a thing or two. Most of the successful musicians and celebrities, actors, they have managers. Because one time, of course, now I know, I would ask myself, why is it that when a particular celebrity lands in town, they have an interview in every station, every TV station, every radio station? Then I didn't know. But I realized actually the manager does the groundwork for them, what in Kenya would call kazi ya mkono, and then they will be smiling all the way to the bank.
Let me say, even, there is a manager who does all of that, but there is somebody who has done the work of telling him, you cannot dress like this today.
Yes.
This is your speech.
Yes.
This is what we want to come out. So that they know that when I go and start speaking, there is an area where I will not detour to because of the conversations that I want to happen because of my presence here.
Yes.
It is very interesting that even, I don't know whether Kenyan presidents do that, but I do know American presidents have been noted to have people helping them just sharpen their skill set in terms of public speaking.
Yes.
So that when you stand to speak and address the nation, you are compelling. They didn't wake up suddenly and it was there. No. Somebody has done deliberate heavy work behind the scenes to help them shine and execute the way we watch them execute.
That's true. And actually, on a light note, okay, it may not be so light though, but I just remembered sometimes when our head of states and their first ladies walk out in public, Kenyans are a very interesting lot. They'll be like, who was in charge this morning? because somebody did not notice this really. And indeed, I would ask myself the same question because they know they are public figures every
Yes.
step of the way. So someone failed in their job. So I get you now. I mean, you've answered this for me and for the audience that is watching. So let's talk about strategy and planning.
Okay.
Many times people talk about the strategic plan of an organization, but they never think about their own personal strategic plan for your own life before we even get to the organization. And you talked about self-leadership. So would you tell us what's a place of strategic planning for your own life?
I would say leading begins with leading yourself so that you can lead others.
Right.
And so, in as much as we will see a strategic plan in an organization,
Right.
it is just a window that tells you can have a plan for your life. And let me just share again, using our context, how people have plans for your life. One of the plans many Kenyans have gone through is called 844. That was a plan. All other things aside, it was a plan. It was a deliberate plan that every child born in the country will have 2 years of preschool, will go through 8 years, will go through another 4, will go through another 4 in campus. Of course, now we're in the CBC arena, and there's again a plan that has been laid out. So that is why I, as a parent, don't have to think about what does a standard 3 child learn. Somebody has already done the heavy work.
Yes.
And done the curriculum and done all the things that the child will be equipped in that grade.
Yeah.
So, but nobody does that for our lives. And I think that is one of the areas of disconnect, especially after you have done all those things that have been planned for you. And then now we all expect you to know how to run your life, but you have not been running your life. Somebody has been running your life. The same even at the home level. A home that has a parent or both parents present, somebody is running that life. Somebody is making sure there is food, shelter, clothing, and access to education or access to whatever is needed.
Yeah.
Then when you reach 18, suddenly you should be able to figure out how.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from where I sit, I think part of life skills is equipping even our young ones to begin to know that I can lead myself. And leading themselves begins in the small things, can
That's
begin
right.
even in as simple as choosing the clothes to wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mothers like me will interfere with that decision. They're like, no, it doesn't
You
look
can't
nice.
leave the
Remove,
house
I have
wearing
chosen.
this. Yes.
But we keep taking away their right to decide until they do not know or they do not have confidence in the decisions that they will continue to make in life. So self-leadership can begin right there, can begin with, I am full, I don't feel like eating. And we respect that enough to say you have made a small leadership move as a child.
Yeah.
So there will be nothing to eat until the next mealtime. They will experience the consequences of their decision, whether they will feel hunger, whether they will survive until their next mealtime. But it is a small aspect of just the child learning to lead themselves. So as an adult, and you as an adult, and our viewers as well,
Yes.
have a personal responsibility to have a strategic plan for your life, so to speak.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be perfect. It is subject, of course, to everything that is happening around. But it is the one thing that you are completely in control.
Yes.
When you're in school, somebody else is in control. You are not in control.
Yeah.
When you are at home under parents, you are not in control. They may give you semi-independence, but technically you're not in control. But it doesn't stop you from deciding this is the path I would like to go.
Okay.
And these are the small things I would like to take to get there. So from where I sit, strategic planning for your life is very important.
It's very important.
It's very important.
So allow me to ask, many times we plan, we envision, and we see the plan in our minds. But then it so happens, allow me to choose the example of Africa, for example, where employment is almost depending on where you sit, politically speaking. So you find you've planned, you've done your undergraduate, you've done your master's, and you're almost so sure that someone will be coming to look for you because of your knowledge, your expertise, and looking around. But then 2-3 years down the line, you realize time is actually going by and nothing is coming about. It can cause a bit of disillusionment. Okay. So from a self-leadership perspective, what would you advise young people, particularly that almost feel disillusioned to a point of, let's see, one day at a time, like the singer sang and said, "Sweet Jesus,"
One day
one day
at
at
a
a
time.
time.
I had the opportunity to travel
Yeah,
in my previous workplace,
yeah,
and the travel included both Africa and outside of Africa. I remember visiting Canada, and in this particular state, I was curious to know what is the unemployment rate. From Africa, we are coming; it's high. The numbers are high. So in creating conversation, I was interested to find out, here, is there unemployment?
yeah.
And I was told that there's zero unemployment. And I'm like, what do you
Like the
mean?
truth.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And two answers stood out that I think I would repeat and hope for our Kenyan context. One
Right.
was that the young people as early as 16 are allowed to get into the workspace.
Mm.
And this could be part-time jobs.
Mm.
So that you're in high school, but you have a part-time job.
Okay.
You don't wait until 24
Mm.
to enter the job market.
Yeah.
So a Kenyan here waiting for 24, I've done my first degree or second degree, 25, 26. And a counterpart in the north who started work at 16. Where are they at
That's
this point?
10 years difference.
A very big difference. So
Yeah.
we don't have that yet in Africa. And I think, sorry, that might be one of the challenges for Africa, that we wait until we think you're perfectly ready. So that person doesn't have exposure. That person doesn't have a work ethic because they have not been exposed to employment at all for all that 24, 25, 26 years. So that was one. Number two, again in the north, a lot of industries back then when we were coming through World War II and industrialization is happening, people were encouraged to create what I would call cottage industries.
Yeah.
So your basement is where you go to tinker and figure out, because there is nobody employing you. So we are not educating you to be employed. We were educating you and even challenging you not even to wait for finishing education. Start figuring out what you can create.
Right.
People discovered they can create candles. And by the way, if you watch Shark Tank,
Yes.
a lot of all of those things that are happening in people's homes. And then they look for funding.
Okay.
And then the funding helps you to expand and reach a wider market.
Yeah.
But something started at the local scale. Here in Africa, we do have, I think I would call them cottage industries. And there is opportunity for that to explode. So to answer your question, for this young person, I think one of our challenges in Africa is waiting until you have finished university for you to feel that you are contributing something to society.
Yes.
And then we have defined what that something is that you are contributing.
Okay.
Yet, a lot of the things we are using, our cups, our plates, are not waiting for a degree.
Exactly.
Somebody has figured out, oh, I can make flowers.
Actually, that's a powerful statement. The cups, the plates are not waiting for a degree.
No, they are not waiting. It just needs an idea and somebody to execute. And so you find that because of that, there's a lot of small industries that are happening there. And some, one of the things I came across is called a Stampede company. And they even sell you a pack to go and start making cards from your home and selling to your friends.
Wow. Like birthday cards, things
Everything,
like that.
we give you the whole set.
Okay.
As in, it is not our specialty.
Okay.
But we have created you can make different machines and cutters for different sizes of cards. We even sell you the embossed paper, colored paper, whatever you want. We sell you the stamps. So stamping just the same way you do a stamp for a seal.
Yeah.
You can decorate it as you so desire.
Okay.
And create a price for it and start selling.
Okay.
And so that person starts to move in terms of entrepreneurship way earlier than this person who has been in school, waiting for graduation, so that now you can look for a job.
Right.
So a mind shift is already happening in Africa, I believe.
It is.
Both because of CBC, but both because also of where unemployment has brought us to.
Right.
Just the stark realization that there is nothing waiting for you. Is it good to study? Yes. Is it good to learn? Yes. Is it good to expose yourself to new knowledge? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that you cannot do anything else.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that you can only do the thing which you have studied for. That you can use your abilities and discover your skills early enough
Yeah.
to create something that already starts to feed you and equip you today. So CBC distract. So
Yes. Yes.
I have 2 children in the CBC system, and because we live up country,
Yes.
we are up country near town,
Leafy suburbs. Sema
leafy
tu leafy
suburbs.
suburbs.
we decided to bring this CBC and make it practical.
Okay.
So when they were learning, they have a lesson on business. We encouraged our 2 boys, what can you do for business? And one of the areas we explored was keeping chicken. So CBC encourages a lot of hands-on.
Yes.
So we are like, okay, we're in a village setting that can allow you to keep chicken. What do you need?
Okay.
We need to build a hatch. And so they worked with their dad, bought all the materials, participated in putting together the hatch. Then we are like, next we need to go find where people buy chicks. We walked out and went into the shopping center. Where is the shop for chicks? It's the agrovet. Went to the agrovet and just ask the questions. How much is one chick? What food does it eat? And all of those things. What does it need?
Yeah.
How long will it take before it matures? What is the food eaten at different stages?
Yeah.
All of that. And then we gave them capital to start the chicken project.
So as we speak,
we have been eating chicken.
Oh my, from your house.
But they can take care. They know.
Yes.
I can take a 1-day-old chick. They need the warmth. We feed them this for the first 2-3 weeks. After that, we graduate to this. Then the chicks are growing. Now they're starting to have feathers. They know the routine in terms of how often to feed, how often to change their water.
Yeah.
It looks cumbersome.
And above all, they appreciate the aspect of work at an early age.
Yes.
Wow.
Which I think is what CBC is trying to say. It's trying to say, in your context, what can you do? It is no longer classroom only, where so that you wait until you graduate,
right? So
that now you look for employment. Now CBC, I believe, was trying to introduce and say, begin now with what you have. What is the small thing you can create and do and be that opens opportunities for you even as you become older?
It's very interesting because, believe it or not, I was going to ask you a question about CBC. So when you've talked about it, I let you keep going because clearly you're in support of CBC. And to me, I think probably rolled out well as we move along, it will be probably the best thing that has ever happened. Because the other day I was watching a video of some Chinese children and what those kids are doing. I could see some of them making the equivalent of chapatis. I think others were walikuwa nashona nguo.
I think I saw that clip,
and I was impressed. I said to myself, by the time this kid gets to 16, she can run her own restaurant.
Yes.
She can actually, of course, with skills on management and all. And I thought, truly speaking, maybe CBC is the best thing so far that's happening to this nation. But time will tell.
Time will tell. I'm sure as it rolls out, kinks will be straightened along the way.
Yeah.
But in terms of opening the minds of our children to what they could do, that is not pegged on education. Education is still important. Still learn, keep learning. But start to discover, I can use my passion. I can use my skills. I can bake. And sell to my auntie, uncles, cousins.
True.
And start to make money and discover, so there are this many ways to make money.
True.
So then I don't have to wait. To go back to your example of somebody who has done a first degree, gone back for a second degree, 3 years down the line, nothing. That should not be.
And someone selling clothes in Gikomba is actually a millionaire. True story. You know?
True story. I had one just, I think, two Saturdays ago. Somebody was talking about a fruit vendor in Rongai who is, in the millions. And that is just fruit.
Yes.
So there is opportunity, and it is not purely in books. It is not purely in the classroom. And I believe that is what CBC is trying to say.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anna. We are on In Focus, and today we have our guest who is talking to us about being strategic and also planning. And part of it is also self-leadership. You don't need to be discouraged or disillusioned, and ask yourself, what does the future hold for me? If you sit down and think outside the box, there is something God has put in your heart. So we'll be back after a short break. You're watching us on EMTV Online. Welcome back to In Focus, and today we have Anna Ngwiri, a consultant and a life coach, and we are talking about strategy and planning, and within it, self-leadership. So Anna, tell me, when we talk about leadership particularly, and when people pursue studies in leadership, one of the questions that most people will ask themselves is, I understand when an accountant is going to school, they'll be dealing with money, a nurse will be dealing with patients, a teacher will be dealing with students or pupils. Most people have never, honestly, if they tell you the truth, understood why would one pursue the line of leadership.
Okay.
We don't have a school for leaders where leaders enroll. So I think that's one question you need to answer, so that maybe some future leaders that think it's not necessary can consider going to pursue their studies.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
I would say I didn't. So maybe let me backtrack and then try to connect dots. Huh?
Yes.
So I grew up in a large family, 11 children.
Yeah.
Dad and mom, and I'm number 7.
Mm-hmm.
So now at number 7, who's giving leadership to who?
Wow.
We are many.
You're the middle
So
child.
I think the desire to lead myself may have started there. Having your own space. Just who are you?
Yes.
When you're 2, firstborn and lastborn, a
Right.
competition is there is opportunity for everybody. But when there is 11,
Yes.
the mathematics is a little bit different. So I think that is where self-leadership began. Just choosing for myself, deciding for myself in my own limited capacity as a child.
Right.
So there was always the desire to lead myself and then in extension lead others. So the potential was there, only unexplored.
Right.
So when I got into internship, I think that is the first time that I really, second time probably, that I really got opportunity to lead from the forefront, where you are now in charge and you're told you're in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, please show us, lead us.
Yes.
And I was very much in my element. And so for me, I would say then leadership is not, I don't struggle. There's a natural part of me that is a leader. However, in studying, there was no leadership in there. So I did my first degree, second degree, MBA in human resource management.
Okay.
And so busy leading and doing all of those things that help an organization do what it exists to do. However, when I became CEO, I think is when I really realized the need for growing in the area of leadership. Now, there was no leadership subject that I went through in school all that well.
All right.
So as an intern and as a volunteer, part of the continuous training that was happening there was how to lead and how to lead well. So then I began to get exposed to the books and the different thoughts that were in that area.
Okay.
I remember actually when attending a 1-year leadership course that had been authored by John Maxwell.
Online?
No, it was physical at Keswick Bookshop. It was a class that happened one Saturday a month for a whole year.
Okay.
And because I love reading, I devoured books on leadership a lot.
Okay.
And I think that really increased capacity in terms of skill set when it comes to what is leadership, how do you lead, what does a leader look like, where are you leading people to, how do you share vision, how do you deal with change, how do you handle conflict, because there was no lesson I'd ever attended that addressed all of those things.
Okay.
Yet in the day-to-day of work, those are the daily things that are happening.
Yeah.
And so you find that you suddenly are ill-equipped in this area. So one of the ways to grow in that area was through reading. One of the other ways was to register for those small courses and conferences that are around us in terms of leadership.
Yeah.
And so when I became CEO, again, I realized that this cup just needs to go higher.
Yes.
And so that is when I enrolled for a PhD in organizational leadership at Park.
Okay.
And I remember attending the first semester units and just having a lot of, no wonder. Not because the things that were being taught were strange.
Yeah.
I had now experienced them, but I didn't have context for them.
Okay.
And so going for leadership classes just sharpened my ability and enhanced my ability. So should somebody go for a bachelor's of leadership as a first degree? Probably not. However, when you have gotten into that first job, then you must expose yourself
Yes.
to leadership content because you need it
Yeah.
so that you can thrive in that
Okay.
space. Yes.
Okay. And I guess, and I hear, most leaders are actually learners in terms of every day you look for something new to
yes,
learn.
yes.
So when we talk about leadership in Africa, particularly, we have a lot of issues that I always think maybe God's grace has just been sufficient, but on many occasions we are such spontaneous people. It's like we're not sure we'll be there tomorrow. But look at other cultures, like allow me to use the Chinese, for example. I may not talk much about the Americans or the Europeans, but Chinese are people that are known to be long term. Like they will go in the middle of nowhere while people are asking, where are these people going? Fast forward and you will be like, what did these people see? So as Africans, are we short term, or what is usually the problem? I mean, we just wake up to, all of a sudden we are rushing to do this. We are disrupting everyone's life. What is usually the problem? I mean, as a life coach and a leadership, I'm sure you know what I'm saying.
Okay, so on the issue of long term and short term, I need to say that both of them are important.
Yeah.
But when you are exercising self-leadership over yourself, you need to cultivate both. Long term is ability to see ahead 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Short term might be this year or this month.
Yeah.
Both are important. So you shouldn't ideally sacrifice one for the other. You can't be so long term that you are of no use right now, but you can't be so irrelevant right now because you have long term.
Yes.
So part of the question is how to balance both.
Okay.
So coming back then to the situation of Africa, I would say all of us have capacity to think ahead.
Yeah.
But again, there are challenges and there are factors that help you think ahead. So if I am your leader, and as we meet for a one-on-one, I ask you, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
I'm pushing you out of the comfort of today and now, and I want a promotion by June.
Yes.
To imagine 10 years, how old will I be? Where will I be? What would I want to be doing? So you don't have answers to those ones, and that's a good thing, because I usually say that is the part of the creativity that God has given us, that you can create something out of nothing.
Right.
And so you give yourself opportunity to start to imagine that future that is way ahead. But then I also bring you home and ask you, so today, is this promotion relevant to where you're going?
Yeah.
Then you start telling me, by the way, no, it is relevant. I was focusing on short-term gain and had lost picture of long-term where I am headed.
Yes.
So when you learn to run your life like that, then you will find that you are not so spontaneous as people might think.
Right.
That your moves are calculated because you have a certain destination.
Yeah.
Maybe even to bring it into context, let me give an example like going to Mombasa. You tell me I would like to go to Mombasa. That's a very good thing. Go to Mombasa.
Yeah.
Key questions now. When? In your spontaneity, you might say today. Then I ask you, but today, see, you have a class.
Yes. Yes.
You have children. There's somebody you had booked an appointment to talk to tomorrow. So you can't go to Mombasa today.
That's right.
Can we have a realistic date for when you can go to Mombasa? Then you start to say, actually, even budget I didn't have. Realistically, the earliest time I can go to Mombasa might be June.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we start having a real and actual plan. So we are still feeding your desire for fun and spontaneity, but now we are putting structure and systems in place to help you to achieve that goal.
Right.
So in that sense, then I, as a coach, then I'm able to tell you, okay, fine, why do you want to go to Mombasa, by the way? Or I wanted to go to Mombasa because everybody goes to Mombasa. Like, you, where are you going to Mombasa? You're just going to Mombasa to burn money. What else can you do in Mombasa that is more impactful, is more meaningful, is more life-changing? Then you say, by the way, if it is just to burn money, I don't need to go to Mombasa. I can use that money here in Nairobi. Maybe what I can do is add that money for Mombasa, then I do Zanzibar.
Yes.
And then we start asking, so what is in Zanzibar? I would like to go and see how is the media space there?
Yeah.
How are the leaders there? What's happening in that context? Is there a leader I can connect to that I can engage, that maybe we can start a collaboration of sorts? Now, your trip is even becoming more intentional.
Yes.
So as a coach, then the role I would play in your life then is not only just to rubber stamp the moves you're doing, but also help you think critically.
Okay.
Why that move is necessary.
Okay.
What are the benefits that it will give? What is the why behind it? So that you can pursue it 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
So why do you think some leaders are popular while others are not popular? I know this is a very general question, but it comes because when you're talking about all the points you've mentioned, and particularly the spontaneity, the aspect of not achieving while others are achieving, why is it that some leaders become popular while others become very unpopular?
I think it depends on the character of the leader. Yes. And hoping I am answering the question correctly, I have had an opportunity to watch different leaders. I've watched leaders who got into leadership and destroyed everything.
Yeah.
Not because they are bad, but
Okay.
maybe their perception of what to build and how to build was different. And then for one reason or the other, they were not able to achieve or even go back to what they found. I have seen leaders who came and found something really small, but because of their awareness and their capacity as leaders, have made it flourish.
All right.
So you'll always have these different kinds of leaders in whatever institution, in whatever organization.
Okay.
And so it might not be an issue of bad, it might be an issue of just different.
Okay.
It might be, in fact, I usually say, and maybe I will use a company. I don't know how wise I am, but let me use Safaricom because it is well known.
The better option, they say.
Bob Colmore was fascinated about music.
Yes.
And things he touched, somehow, there was music somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Whether it was a concert, whether it was supporting local musicians, there was something in his path. We have Peter Ndegwa. He's a different kind of leader, and his interest might not be in music. It doesn't mean he's bad.
No.
He's just different. So I am aware that sometimes as a leader comes, there are different passions, there are different desires will fuel them and cause them to lead in a different kind of way. I have been under a leader who is very passionate about developing young leaders. And that leader went and found funding and did conferences all to build young leaders.
Yes.
They hand over. And the other leader who comes, he's passionate about something completely different. He's not bad.
Yeah, true.
It's just different. So in the same way, I would say, that's why you'll have leaders who look different.
Okay.
You will have leaders who, if I use our presidents, Moi was very much for education and pushed education so much. Brought in Kibaki. Kibaki is for economy. Let's and all of us feel the effect of his economy.
Yes.
So with every leader comes a different focus area they're pushing. They're not necessarily bad.
Yes.
They're just different.
Wow.
So ours is to learn to adjust our taste buds.
Yes.
According to the leader at hand.
I love that answer. They are not bad. They're just different.
They're just different.
Now, but look at it. If I would ask you, according to your own research and survey, what has been the best performing county in this country?
Makueni.
For real?
For real.
But according to what I hear, Moranga has also done very well.
Let me tell you why Makueni. I think Makueni is a county for Kivuta Kibwana.
Yeah. No, at the moment it's Mutula
No,
Junior.
before.
Oh yeah, it was Kivuta Kibwana.
When Kivuta went in, wasn't there a famine? One people eating dogs.
Yeah, it was bad.
Feeding, having relief food. And then now?
Things have changed. Actually,
exporting.
Things have changed. Things have changed big time.
So you can see the transformation. Yes. So Moranga might be good. We expect it to be good. It is part of the green basket of Kenya.
Yes.
Nothing magical about it. But when you go to a farming area,
nothing magical about it. Okay, I hear you.
And things change.
Yeah.
That we now harvest water. Before we would be front page news.
Yes.
Because we are malnourished. Our animals are dead. Poverty is the standard. To now we have our own factories for drying our own mangoes.
Imagine.
Packing them and selling them. You guys.
And milk. And milk. I mean,
that was serious transformation. That was serious transformation. So in terms of counties that stand out, I think that is one. And I pray would be the same for our northeastern.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
something good there. There's something that can change there.
Yeah, it is true.
When we grasp it and the leaders help the community to be that,
Okay.
then all of Kenya, you can live anywhere and you'll flourish.
By the way, you're right, and you'll be fine. Okay. Wow. Interesting. So as we continue, let's talk about leadership and change. COVID threw people off, I don't know, almost off the cliff. Actually, a lot of people went back up country. Others, a lot of things happened. Even others had mental breakdowns. A lot of things happened. How can one prepare for change in either an organization, even at a personal level? Because self-leadership has to do with, no, I have no salary. What do I do?
Okay.
The organization is not bringing in money. What do we do? So how can we always prepare for change? Because sometimes change is inevitable.
Change is inevitable and change is constant.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I would say...
Thanks for adding that.
So we should expect change,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So when it comes to, I think when I look at COVID, I see both the crisis and the opportunity.
Right.
I see where systems had to shut down and life had to drastically change.
A lot.
But I also see opportunities that opened up that would never have been considered if this crisis did not happen. The world went online. Anything you wanted now, you couldn't go to your church, you couldn't go to the office, you went online to look for whatever it is and you found it. And the online community just changed. It became a place where we find products and services versus a place where we share photos and check on each other.
Yeah.
So e-commerce changed because of that. So let me connect then that change with self-leadership. If you are in an organization today, expect one day that you shall leave.
Yes.
Whether by retirement
Or
by being redundant, yes,
Yeah.
or by people are no longer feeling your vibe, you're not performing.
Yes.
Expect to leave. It
Yes.
is not yours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is yours is when you sit down and author your own life. Is when you sit down and imagine, if we remove this organization, how could I live?
Wow. Author your own life.
Author
That's a
your own
powerful
life.
statement.
Author your own life. Working in an organization does not stop you from authoring your own life.
Yeah.
But what happens is, because a lot of your time and energy is spent there, there's little time left for you to figure out, how could I exist if this thing was not there? So every company that is existing today belongs to somebody,
Right.
unless it is yours that you're running, and therefore you'll always be in that company.
Right.
But anyone employed, you are there on paper, on contract, and one day it is inevitable that you shall not be there for forever. So what does that mean? That means that I have to take charge of my life. I have to always give room for what would I do? Even think of that inevitable. What would I do if the company let me go today?
Yeah, yeah.
How could I use all my skills, my experiences, my knowledge to launch myself afresh and build something that can sustain me, my small unit,
Yeah,
and if possible, even empower others
Yeah.
beyond me.
yeah.
I think that's the powerful mindset that I would say to change Kenya from unemployment to fully employed is one mindset shift away.
Kabisa.
That we can say that today, to you who is employed, stay there, but don't forget to plan your life. To you who is unemployed, stop searching.
Yeah,
Stop searching.
yeah,
Just call yourself for a meeting, gather yourself together.
yeah.
Take down what are your assets. What are assets, not things you have acquired, but abilities you have that are not used. Miles Monroe is quoted often for saying that the graveyard is the richest place.
Sadly.
Why? Because not of the coffins and the clothes, but because of the untapped potential that is there.
Yeah.
The companies that were never built, the books that were never written, the songs that were never sung, the innovations that were never created.
Yeah.
Because somebody was tied to one thing.
Yeah.
And so when God has created us and put in us that creative genius of his, because we are made in his image, that is why me and you can create a meal
Yeah.
from scratch with raw ingredients and let there be, and there will be
Yes, yes.
a nice pot of stew. We
Right.
can even Google all the recipes and everything we need, but we will produce a nice plate of food. So in the same way, everyone has that creative ability.
Yeah, yeah.
And so to deal with crisis, I would say before even the crisis appears, gather yourself, call
Jite
yourself.
mkutano.
Yeah, just challenge yourself and
Yeah.
say, if there was no organization to go to tomorrow morning,
Yeah,
how would I make a living?
right.
What skills do I have? What
Yeah.
abilities do I have? Would I design? Would I
Yeah.
create? Would I cook? What would I do?
Mm.
And begin to figure out and even imagine, because that thing you can do, imagine there's somebody who's doing it full time for their own company.
Yeah. And they are making maybe 10 times what they would be paid.
You cannot even compare.
I know.
There's already somebody doing it. So meaning you will not be the first.
Right.
You will not be the last.
Yeah.
You can learn from them, you can begin to prepare for them. But for somebody who is already redundant, even today as we speak, I believe in searching for a job, but
Right.
I also believe in putting a boundary for, after I've sent my CV for 3 months, imagine we are done. Yeah, we stop that chapter.
Yeah.
Let us now come back and say, no, but then nobody is employing us anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what can we do?
Okay. Okay.
What can I do?
Yeah.
And sometimes the what can I do is I can cook very good chapati and supply. Sometimes the what can I do might be I'm very good at flower arrangements. I can start small.
Yeah.
What can I do can be I am good with hair. What can I do might be I am very good at motivating
MCing,
and encouraging people.
you know.
I am a good moderator. And then you start looking for people who need to be moderated.
Yes. Right.
Because there's no one who is everything by themselves. We need each other.
We need
and
each
so
other.
everyone has something that somebody else needs. And so call yourself for a meeting.
Yeah.
Start to just think and ponder in this creative way.
Yeah.
And see where it can lead you. And once you figure out what it is, look around and see who is doing it.
That's right. And learn from others as well.
Learn,
Who've
observe,
gone ahead of you.
Go online and figure out what you don't know.
Yeah.
And start.
Awesome.
Start. Yes.
And again, you've reminded me of the scripture where God interrupted the language of men in Babylon. And that is the one verse, maybe till Jesus comes back, I'll never understand. God saw that these people, whatever they have set their heart to do, nothing will stop them. And that tells you what you've just said, the power of creativity. So whatever it is you put your mind to do, because it's aligned with something God put in you, you can actually accomplish it.
Absolutely.
And that is why I always think, let's think of someone like Churchill. What if someone just told him, you're not that funny? And then he went and just buried that dream, like you said. Today is the father of comedy in this country, you know. So, I mean, I'm sure as we conclude, really, because this is quite interesting, what did you say about the Gen Zs and now, you know, aspects of strategy and planning? Because the studies have been done to show these are not people you will place in your organization for, in fact, 5 years is too long. Too long.
They will have left.
I mean, for our parents, it would be 30 years.
Yes.
For us, it's come down a little bit. For the Gen Zs, the story has changed. So what you talk, when you talk about organizations, leadership, and strategy, these are not people you're likely to have with for the longest. What would you tell the leaders in organizations
I think
as they deal with this group of people? Yeah.
Just be aware that they are not there to stay with you for forever. Equip and empower them, let them do what they need to do, release them.
Yeah.
I think even when I started employment, my father encouraging me to stay here for the long haul. But like you have said, nowadays, we are not, even me, I will not want to stay for the long haul.
Yeah.
So does that mean there's anything wrong with you as employer? No. But adjust then your parameters. Know that I will invest in this person, or they are willing and ready to come and serve me and fulfill their function and move on. So will that change how our organizations work? Maybe. Is it necessarily bad? No. It might be new and different and strange.
Yeah.
But it might slowly become the new normal.
Okay.
And so I would think for the Gen Z as well, we're starting to get the keyword I had is multivariate, as in they can do and they can switch careers. Before you stayed in one path and stayed on it all the way. Now I can move from medicine and move to an author, and a speaker and a trainer, and I can move from there and become something completely unrelated.
Right.
It doesn't make me any less. I believe it is just the potential that God has given us. I think it is just something that tells us you can be anything.
Yeah.
You might sit down and discover I can be 10 things. The answer is
That's
you
true.
can actually be 10 things.
That's true.
Which one do you want to start?
And which one do you want to push
just start
beyond
with,
the rest?
Start with wherever you are starting.
Okay.
And if you do this one and it has reached the end, feel free to move to number 2, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So as we conclude, tell us, who is your role model in terms of leaders? I mean, maybe a lady, a male and a female, people you admire, like you want to read their books, you want to watch them, you want to, basically, because somebody always has someone that they admire. And maybe why, the why.
I was curious whether this question would come.
You can be sure it was going to come at some point.
There's one leader I think who has influenced me a lot in how to lead and take care of people. I can mention her name.
Yes, of course.
Hi,
of
Mrs.
course.
OJ.
Wow.
She's called Mrs. Grace Ojambo.
Okay.
So I met her when I was an intern. And then I stayed on as a volunteer.
Okay.
And she was a CEO for a 10-year span. And watching her was watching leadership in action.
Wow.
I think I saw in her a selfless leader, a servant leader. She was not intimidated by whatever our qualifications or abilities were. She consistently gave room to shine and shine and shine.
Wow.
And that impacted and molded me into loving leadership more and wanting to learn more about leadership. And so she is a big influence in who I am a lot today. On the other gender, there are many.
Okay, you can pick one.
But I think the one I've admired most is John Maxwell.
Okay.
I admire how he teaches and trains and equips on leadership. I think he has written a leadership book every single year.
Yes, yes.
And if you count his books, I think there are over 40.
Oh, my.
I watch him and I say, I want to be an Anna John Maxwell.
Right.
That I can speak and influence nations. I can speak and influence leaders. I can release books that will impact lives.
Yeah.
He was the first consistent leadership program that I went through. I think we were paying 2,500 then. And we were going through material that he had prepared.
Okay.
And I would leave each session thinking, wow. Feeling very, very equipped and very empowered. I still listen to him today online. And in terms of, I think if I put together all the male leaders that I follow, I think he definitely stands out.
Whoa.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
And so what would be your parting shot to the audience? We've talked about many things: strategy, planning, self-leadership. You could give us your parting shot as we bring this to a close.
My parting shot is this: God has filled you with capacity to lead yourself.
Wow.
That is number one. So own it, pick it, run with it. Number two, you are the driver. If I was your coach, I'm the co-driver, I'm in the back seat. But you are the driver. Where are you going?
Yes.
Where are you leading yourself?
Yes.
What do you want to, I don't want to say in terms of just acquire, achieve, and do, but how do you want to empty yourself as you live on this earth? How do you want to influence? How do you want to shine the shiniest you could ever shine?
Yeah.
Not because you're competing with the sun, but because you are a brilliant star by yourself.
Competing with the sun.
Yes. And so when you shine, you give light to others to shine.
Right.
When you shine, you light the path for others to follow. Each one of us has an opportunity to shine. So self-leadership begins with you. Self-leadership begins with you realizing that you have the potential inside of you. It is God-given, so nobody can take it away. And then you are on the driver's seat. Take charge. Take charge of your life. Drive to where your potential is.
Wow.
Live to die empty.
Right.
I would say die empty.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So you have it there, my dear viewer. Die empty. You are the driver. And many more that I may not be able to remember. You are in charge, yes. And so there's no reason to look at 2025 and ask yourself, why is the day so long? I mean, the year, how is it going to turn out? And so for me, I would say it's been really lovely having Anna Ngwiri. And I believe you can check her out on social media.
Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. That is my main platform.
Yes, she's on LinkedIn. You can check her out and get in touch with her. I'm sure she has a lot of wealth, and I know she has a lot of wealth, and particularly from the program and from all that we've talked about, she can be a great influence, not just to your children, not just to the younger generation, but for everyone that is young at heart. And so from me and David on In Focus, it is until we meet next time. Thank you.